Welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. I might be becoming a bad baseball fan who can't enjoy the romantic things because of advanced statistics. 15 years from now, I want to be on the early baseball committee. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran.
I literally have the Fangraphs hoodie, the baseball reference t-shirt, just repping some stats, you know what I'm saying?
It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there to my actual left, as you cannot see on YouTube, unfortunately, is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I am doing well today. This is our last episode in the class era of our time at Springfield College, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
I had my second to last class ever today. I think you did as well, right?
I think I had my I don't think my class is meeting tomorrow.
Oh, so you had your last class today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
What a run.
It lasted about 20 minutes.
Nice. we did a Kahoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not really sentimental about my, not to get off track here, but I haven't really gotten sentimental about my classes because I'm not taking any
No,
COS
not about
shit.
classes. I had my last class in Wiser 007 today, which, you know, if you're a part of the COSJ major at Springfield College, you understand the significance, not just of the building, but of that room.
Yeah.
I didn't really get sentimental, but I kind of just was like, man, this is it. This is my last class in here.
I'd have gotten more sentimental if it wasn't contemporary applications of math.
That's fair.
I'm a sports journalism major, but I'm getting a sports analytics minor. And, you know, I'm not really passionate about those classes.
Yeah.
Seminar in sports analytics is cool, but, yeah, I'm not, if it was in 007, I probably would have soaked in the moment a little more.
Yeah.
But
Well, you're going to be there in an hour. You can do it then.
Yeah, and then on Wednesday too.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, we're last podcast of the class era. You know, if you didn't know, this all started on Springfield College campus in the radio studio on October 1st, 2019.
It did.
And yeah, we were not even a month into our freshman years. And now closing up on college. So yeah, quite the experience here.
For sure. We don't plan on stopping the podcast after we graduate, just for reference.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously have this whole season. And then we have to get jobs.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. Why do we have to do that?
Yeah, you know, I'd like to delay adulthood a little bit more, but
For sure.
But yeah, you know, gotta do that.
I am actually. I am delaying by 2 months.
Oh yeah. Well, it's still you're still doing.
Yeah.
You're still being productive.
I will still be working.
Yes. So anyway, the baseball world keeps on revolving, keeps on going. One sort of headline that captured the baseball world in a way came on Friday night. Jacob deGrom comes out of his start with 3 2/3 innings pitched under his belt. You know, not a high pitch count, but he comes out. There was a little kind of twitch after a pitch or something. Trainers came out, and they're calling it forearm tightness, which is not what you want to hear. What did you think of this injury news?
Yeah, it's certainly not what you want to hear. Forearm tightness is, it's elbow inflammation too, which elbow means, it doesn't mean Tommy John surgery, but that's what you would need to have hurt for that. I don't want to assume the worst about Jacob deGrom. It would really, really, really suck to lose him to that. As of right now, there's no timetable for his return. They just put him on the 15-day IL. So we'll have to see, what's going to happen, but we really don't know. I hate when negative narratives about very good players keep reoccurring.
Yeah.
Because I think the narrative around Jacob deGrom has been oh, he's gonna be great, but then he's gonna get hurt. And this is not the first time that he's had to leave a start early because of an injury this year. It's the second time he's done it. Thankfully, the first start turned out to be fine early, or so he thought. But he left this Yankees start after I think 3 1/3, where he was not performing bad. He didn't give up a run, and it sucks. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate considering. Yeah, I would argue Jacob deGrom is the greatest talent we've seen on a mound ever. Just like, I don't think in any era ever there was a guy averaging 99 on his fastball, locating the way he does, along with having three other lethal off speed pitches to go with that. And the numbers explain themselves away. He had in 92 innings in 2021, he had a 1.24 FIP. Like, you just don't see that ever in any era. And obviously baseball evolves, so players get better as they go along. Sorry, Super 70 Sports, but that's just the case. That's how it happens. So yeah, like it's a real shame, and like thank God we got to see what he was capable of in 2018 and 2019, and the also 2020 and the first half of 2021. But yeah, it's really sucked. I guess the only sort of optimism you can really have about this is in 2021, what kept him on the sidelines was also a forearm/elbow injury, which I guess can lead to pessimism because it took him out for a good period of time. But he also had that issue, and he didn't have to end up getting a major surgery on it. I think he got some sort of surgery on it, but he didn't didn't get the old TJ.
No.
So I guess that's something you could be optimistic about.
Yeah, it is something that you could be. At this point, it's kind of just a wait and see process. 15-day IL isn't good, but as of right now, it could be worse.
Yeah.
Which that's not to say that it won't get worse, but as of right now, in this present moment, at 11:03 a.m. Eastern Time on May 1st, 2023, the year of our Lord, it could be worse.
Yes, it definitely could be, for sure. And yeah, I wonder if it's a weird thing where I wonder if it's a thing where it's just like it's too good to be true. Like, you can't be this guy that averages 99 on his fastball, like 92 on his slider, 90 on his changeup. Do all that, be a spectacular just athlete on the mound, and also pitch 180 innings a year.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just not possible, especially the way DeGrom's DeGrom's body is built. He's not a bigger guy by any stretch. He's 180 pounds. I think there's a slight link to guys not necessarily having that bodily support system under them, and there being like a correlation to arm injuries and whatnot. But that's mostly what I've heard from Dr. Josh Heenan. But that's kind of the only source I have on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything more on the deGrom injury?
I don't think there's too much to say other than what was already said. Yeah, there's no timetable. Thankfully, I think the Rangers' rotation is deep enough to where they will survive without him. It obviously isn't ideal because he had been dealing this year. I mean, he had been awesome, no doubt. But they can still do all right. Although, the Mariners just had a big weekend in Toronto. The Angels can make a run at any point. The Astros are the Astros, so they have a lot to fend off in that division.
Yeah, I guess it does make Rangers fans a little happier that they went out and signed the amount of starting pitchers they did.
Yep.
With Eovaldi, who's looked very, very good.
Yeah.
Along with Andrew Heaney, and then also re-signing Martin Perez, who was really, really good last year, and they had Gray last year, but that's a good core of starting pitchers that they have, along with a decent bullpen to go with that, and a deeper and deeper lineup as they go along. So yeah, I mean, the Rangers didn't come into the season thinking, oh yeah, DeGrom's going to give us 200 innings, no problem.
Yeah.
They knew the risks, they knew the potential factors with him, and I think organizationally they adjusted for it. So good for them. We'll see how it turns out. Obviously, it'll be a lot harder to win more games without DeGrom, but it's as we've seen before, it's step by step.
Yeah,
day by day.
Certainly hoping for a speedy recovery. I don't know. I mean, it's Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm also.
I don't think there's that much to say on this other than like, well, it was in the back of everyone's minds since the moment he signed with that club.
Yeah.
And yeah, now we just gotta hope that it's just a 15-day thing or as little as it could be.
Right. Yeah. For sure. For sure. I certainly am. I am the owner of him in our F4 league.
Yes.
But there's a reason why he was a 6th rounder and not a 2nd rounder. Because of things like this potentially happening and occurring. All right. Well, that's it for deGrom. So for teams, we each standing, like each episode here, we kind of go over teams that are doing maybe hot or cold, and I don't know. I feel like there's a division that's really just been popping off here, and it's the AL East.
Yeah.
Every team is above 500. It's May right now. Every team is above 500, and with the Orioles doing how well they are, that kind of throws a wrench into the mix of how competitive this division will be. Like, how are we supposed to really outlook this division moving forward with how good, no one's fell off so far.
Yeah, I mean, no one's fell off, but if you wanted to point to anyone, the Yankees have struggled a little bit in their last few games. I don't know. I'll have to check the exact record, but, I mean, Aaron Judge is now on the day-to-day list. He had a slight injury, hopefully just a slight injury because, that's kind of all it takes to wreck this entire club. They're 15-14 right now. They just got smoked by the Rangers this weekend, and they lost 3 of 4. They had lost the series to the Twins before as well. I think they've lost their last 3 series now against the Blue Jays, Twins, and now Rangers.
Yeah. I think that's because they were doing. I remember them being a lot further above 500 before this.
Yes, they absolutely. Well, because they had won. They were the last team to lose a series, but they had never swept. They would always win 2 out of 3, split a 4-gamer, stuff like that. But at the one point, they were like 6-0 in like rubber matches or something like that.
Right.
They were crazy when it came down to the series. But yeah, their last 3 series, they've struggled.
Yeah, they've lost 6 out of 8 here. Yeah, I mean, like, lost a series to the Twins. That's not typically the Yankees' way.
No, it's the first time the Twins won the season series since 2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's no joke.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, but they told Byron Buxton, like they told him in the locker room afterwards, and he had this like very funny reaction because he had not known, but they were like, "Yeah, by the way, you just won the season series against the Yankees for the first time since 2001." And he was like, "Oh my god, like I was 6 years old or something like that." It was very funny.
That is very funny. Yeah, I think I saw that, but brushed over. I didn't see the full video. But yeah, that's wild that the Yankees
Yeah, that might be the biggest red flag.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the Yankees have had some questionable teams over the last few years. Like you could point to any lineup from like the 2013 to 14 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Things were weird. They had a couple years in there where they missed the playoffs, but I mean, the one constant was, well, you're going to have those games against the Twins.
Yeah.
The Yankees have not had those games against the Twins. They went 3-4 against them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Jokes aside, though, I am, I was a little worried this year. The reason I didn't have them winning the division is I was worrying. I think they were relying a little too much on breakouts from guys like Volpe, from Peraza, from Oswaldo Cabrera. And I do like Volpe so far. I think he's doing a lot of things right, and the rest will come. But, he has, like an OPS in the 600s right now?
Yeah, probably. But anytime he does anything, it's a huge deal. So it is. I just assume he has like a 900 OPS and like 1,100 stolen bases.
No, he has a 14% walk rate. That's pretty
nice.
And he has 8 stolen bases. He's slashing 217, 333, 337 for a 670 OPS. He has good defensive numbers and good base running numbers. His problem is that he's hitting too many fly balls and he doesn't have a high exit velocity.
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty. Let me pull up the actual numbers real quick. But that's that's the only. That's if you're looking for any analysis on Anthony Volpe and why he has a 90 OPS plus, he has his X velocity is actually up to 89. It's gotten better, but his fly ball rate is 37.7%. His ground ball rate is only 34.4%. So he is hitting the ball harder because his exit velocity definitely was lower, like probably 2 weeks ago or so. But yeah, I mean, like his expected batting average is 5th percentile, expected slugging is 7th percentile. That's because he's hitting a lot of soft fly balls. There's not much else, not much other need to read into that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like normally hitting the ball on the ground is a negative, but he has
84th percentile sprint speed.
Yeah, he has the speed to be able to help himself out in that department. So, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have the ball on the ground rather than hit soft fly balls.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an easy fix to find. I mean, I can't say it's going to be easy to just fix the batted ball profile or he's obviously either he has to hit the ball harder or he has to hit the ball more on the ground or at least less in the air. It's an easy thing to identify, and I think the Yankees will figure it out with him. They're usually pretty good at stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know that's my mini assessment on Anthony Volpe.
Yeah.
But like Oswaldo Cabrera has struggled this year. Peraza hasn't looked great. Those are guys that are still in a way adjusting to major league pitching. So
Yeah.
having an over reliance on guys like that, it's tough, especially when like Judge is hurt. Bader is hurt. You have to put IKF in center field. That's not good. They're giving Aaron Hicks regular playing time. That's not good.
Yeah.
One narrative that has been sparking lately is that like a lot of former Yankees are dominating this season. Like Sonny Gray has like one of the best strikeout rates. He's like among the top of the F4 leaderboards. Joey Gallo has an OPS above 1,000. Aroldis Chapman is dominating with the Royals, but I'm not too moved by that one. And there was another one too. Jorge Mateo with the Orioles. Although he didn't play too much with the Yankees at the major league level.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of conversations on Twitter, and I thought this was interesting how, like, Yankee fans berate their own players, when they aren't performing to their expectation, and it has a very real effect of the player's performance on the field. And you see a lot of these players leave New York and thrive when they couldn't perform well in the Bronx. And I'm like, I think it's actually interesting, because I do wonder if this is a very real thing, or if it's just... I don't want to say a coincidence, especially with Chapman. Like I'm not buying that he's going to be that good for the whole year. And also I think he kind of deserved a lot of the boos that he got.
Yeah.
Not just for performance reasons, but for I think we all know what I'm talking about. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think for every player that leaves and does well, I think there's also a good amount of players that like come to New York and also thrive there. Like, I don't know.
Matt Carpenter.
Carpenter last year. I'm just looking at the roster here, but like DJ LeMahieu, he wasn't an MVP candidate before coming to the Bronx, but he came to the Bronx and
he now is. Anthony Rizzo has like kind of turned back the clock a little bit too. Garrett Cole kind of goes without saying.
Yeah, Garrett Cole's, done well here. I mean, he did better with Houston so far, but so far this year he's done unbelievable. Nestor Cortez.
Yeah, and I mean also like I think
Holmes.
my main the struggle with the Yankees has been the injuries in the rotation. We were expecting Cole, Rodon, Cortez, Severino, and Montas, and Montas has been out this year. Rodon is still out. I don't think he's throwing yet. And Severino, he was only supposed to miss one start.
Mm-hmm.
So they've had to give like Clark Schmidt regular starts in the rotation, and he hasn't looked too good. Johnny Brito looked good for a couple starts, but now he's kind of regressed back down to earth. Domingo Germán, another guy that deserves the boos.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one like absolutely legit, like you can't deny that playing in Yankee Stadium and having the fans boo him every day had a clear effect was Joey Gallo.
Yeah, that's one I can definitely agree with.
He talked about, he was very candid talking about his experience in New York, and he said that like people would harass him on the streets, and he was afraid to leave his apartment.
And just performance-wise, like you can just look at the numbers. He went from being, a mid-800s, maybe 900 OPS guy with Texas in 2021 to, being sub 800 and eventually like sub 700 OPS guy with New York and striking out more, hitting less home runs. His performance went way down, and he didn't necessarily bounce back too hard with the Dodgers last year, but so far with Minnesota, he's looking very good, as you mentioned.
I had concerns with the Yankees at the beginning of the year, like I mentioned. They went 35-35 in the second half last year, and that was with Aaron Judge turning into prime Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Imagine if Aaron Judge wasn't carrying the entire team and he had half the production. He had a 158 weighted runs created plus,
Right.
still an MVP type performance. That's still probably 4 or 5 less wins.
Yeah, and these were the concerns we raised about why we weren't having the Yankees as division winners coming into this year, because one thing I mentioned was that Aaron Judge could be an MVP caliber player this year and still be worth 3 to 4 wins less than he was last year.
Yep.
And then along with that, who knew if Nestor Cortez was going to repeat the same success as he did last year, or Anthony Rizzo is going to repeat the same success, or even Oswaldo Cabrera late in the year last year, or Jose Trevino. There were a lot of players that did really, really well last year that were due for a little bit of regression. And with other teams, that was not the case. The Rays were due to do better, and the Blue Jays are due to do a little bit better, probably. And we've seen that so far from those particular teams this season, and we've seen that regression from the Yankees so far this season, albeit, we're talking on May 1st here. However, the things we were concerned about have kind of happened, and we see that with the Judge is out of the lineup right now, and before that, Judge was a good player, but he didn't have a.
He was exactly what you were hypothetical. The hypothetical you were putting out, an MVP caliber player, but still 3 to 4 wins less than last year.
Yeah, he did not have a 210 OPS plus to start this year. He could still end up going off after this injury goes away.
Absolutely.
But with this plus a few games missed, the Yankees are hovering 500. You can't rely on Judge being 100% better than the average hitter in baseball. That's
incredibly unsustainable.
Incredibly unsustainable. When with all those factors, it makes a little more sense. And being in the competitive division that they're in, it makes sense that out of the gate right now, only a game above 500. Obviously that'll probably change over time. But
the thing that I'm most concerned about is they have 7 games against the Rays in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, right.
You always say you can't win a division in April, but you could lose it. Let's be blunt. The Yankees could lose the division in the next 2 weeks.
Right.
It's a very real. The Rays, admittedly, have not. I mean, there's been a small sample size. They haven't played the good teams very well. They lost the series to the Astros.
And the Blue Jays.
And the Blue Jays, exactly. Those are the two, very good teams they've played. I mean, they've played, Oakland, Detroit, the Reds, the Nationals, the White Sox this weekend. They lost a game they should have won yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready to call the Rays, unstoppable, because pretty clearly they have some flaws and they get exposed. Granted, in the small sample size where they play teams that have expectations. So I'm not ready to call it where, the Yankees are going 0 for 7, they're going 1 for 6, but...
Yeah.
But certainly, the Yankees are already 8 games out of the division right now. It's not impossible to believe, if they lose 5 out of 7, it's a long way up from there.
Right, and that's why I kind of wanted to look at this division, because there's so many possibilities here.
Mm-hmm.
The Orioles are literally in second place right now, and are they've won more than twice the games they've lost with a 19-9 record. Never mind the Blue Jays at 18-10. They just had a 6-game win streak that just got snapped by in a very competitive game with the Mariners, but they still won that series against the Mariners. They've won a series against the Yankees. They've won a series against the Rays, and they're currently 8 games above 500 on May 1st. So, The Blue Jays obviously should be looked out for. The Rays, they're, that's obviously they're not going to keep up this whatever 130 win pace they have right now. But they have some things to look out for. They've done great at beating the teams that they should have, and beating the teams that are at or below their level. But yeah, like with the Blue Jays and Astros, they've lost those series, so they're obviously not perfect. So yeah, the AL East race is going to be something else. The Orioles, I know with the Orioles particularly, I think they have the hardest strength of schedule remaining.
Yeah, I believe it. They've barely played anyone in the division.
Yeah, and
haven't played the Rays, haven't played the Blue Jays. They've played the Yankees and Red Sox. They played the Red Sox twice, and they're 3-3 against the Red Sox.
Okay, Blue Jays and Orioles have the same exact strength of schedule remaining, according to Tankathon.com. Shout out to them.
Yep.
But they both have the exact same difficulty in schedule remaining, which are number 1 and number 2.
I love looking at this and seeing the Pirates on everyone's list.
Yeah,
for toughest opponents.
I don't like how they organize it. They should have just like the most games of like the bad teams, because when you face a team 3 times, it shouldn't be
it shouldn't take more precedent over a slightly less team 13 times.
Yeah.
Real quick, back to the Yankees. They have some pretty clear depth problems. With Judge being out, Stanton being out as well. They've given 366 plate appearances this year to Oswaldo Cabrera, Franchi Cordero, Willie Calhoun, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Aaron Hicks, Kyle Higashioka, and Oswald Peraza. All of them have an OPS plus below 60.
Yeah.
And that's 366 out of 1,044 plate appearances. That is 35% of plate appearances that have gone to guys with an OPS plus below 60.
Yeah, and that goes with that kind of narrative you were talking about
with the Angels.
Well, particularly with the Yankees before the season. I think you mentioned that Aaron Judge in the second half had more WAR than the other combined Yankees position players.
Yep.
So that means 2 different things. Judge was
insane.
And second of all, the rest of the Yankees sort of lacked in skill or production. With guys not having great second halves, that's part of the reason why they were kind of a 500 team after the All-Star break. So yeah, there's with Judge again not having a season that could be considered the best since like the Bonds era.
Yeah, what's funny that I'm kind of
makes things harder for the Yankees.
You know what's funny that I'm kind of just realizing now? Clark Schmidt, who has a 6.84 ERA and a 5.55 FIP, has a better strikeout to walk ratio than Garrett Cole.
He must walk 0.5 guys per 9 or something. Right?
2.5. Their walk rates are pretty much identical. Cole's is 2.4, Schmidt's is 2.5, but Schmidt has 11.5 strikeouts per 9 and Cole has 9.7.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just fun.
That's a fun thing.
That's why context matters. Like there are good stats, but also you need to look at other stats to see the full picture.
Right, yeah.
Because if I'm just looking at strikeout to walk ratio, it looks like Clark Schmidt's the better pitcher. But in fact, you need to also look at, home runs per 9. And that tells you most of the end of the story. By the way, the ERA pluses in the Yankees rotation are extremely funny. It's going from the bottom up. It's 79, 64, 79, 89, 395.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild.
That's pretty fun.
That is wild. And yeah, the home run per 9 is 0.8, 2.5, 2.4,
Yup.
1.6, 0.0.
Yeah.
Fun stuff there. Yankees technically in last place right now. Tied with the Boston Red Sox, who are really just a toxic relationship.
Yeah, I feel like it's gone kind of exactly as expected because my assessment of this team was like, they could be interesting.
Yeah.
And that's still how I feel. I'm not ready to say they're going to be great. I'm not ready to say they suck. I'm still clinging on to them. They could be interesting.
They are about as fun to watch as they are stressful to watch.
Yep.
You don't know what to expect on a given day. A starter could go 7 shutout or 2 innings, 7 earned runs allowed.
Every starter can do that.
Every starter has that ability.
Chris Sale has been like the perfect microcosm of the season. Like if you
Yes.
look at his last like probably 4 starts or so, his ERA against non-division opponents is like actually very good.
That's pretty
which is
solid.
also a microcosm of the Red Sox. I think they had like a .600 winning percentage last year against non-division opponents.
Yeah, and that's a team that finished 6 games below 500 overall. Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
wild.
if you look at Chris Sale's last 4 starts, 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a home run against Tampa. Not a good start. I mean, you could hope for better. A lot of that was in 1 inning too. April 18th against Minnesota, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. Awesome. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
April 24th against the Orioles, 5 innings pitched, 9 hits, 5 runs, 1 walk, 0 strikeouts, 2 swings and misses.
Yeah.
Wow, he needs to retire.
Yeah.
It's over. Yesterday against Cleveland, 6 1/3, 3 hits, 1 run, 0 walks, and 5 strikeouts. We back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like-
yeah. Yeah. That's been that times 5.
Yeah.
And also with the offense, it's like, oh, Masataka Yoshida is the worst hitter of all time. Oh wait, now he's actually the future of the Boston Red Sox
Yeah.
franchise.
You know, the Red Sox, you know the tweet where it's like the masculine urge to say like we're so back 20 minutes after saying it's over.
Yeah.
That's the Red Sox.
Yeah, they're fun and interesting for sure. So yeah.
I will say I definitely am having fun.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it sucks at times, but I am overall having fun.
Right. It's like because
Talk to me tomorrow when it sucks again though,
for as many times as
because they are playing the Blue Jays this week.
Yeah, for as many times as I'm like, man, it would be nice to have Bogarts. I'm also like, oh man, Yoshida and Kenley Jansen in the back of this bullpen
Yeah.
is so awesome.
Yeah. Well, Kenley had a blown save the other day, but it was all BABIP.
Yeah.
Like I think it was literally 3 singles, one of them being an infield single where Arroyo like took a weird route and like didn't field cleanly, and they counted it as a hit because it didn't like roll off his glove.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't moved by that at all.
Right. But like, yeah, it's a weird, interesting team. So everyone's above 500 right now.
The Blue Jays are turning it up. They did lose a tough one yesterday, but
Yeah. Who do we think is rising? Who do we think is falling? Who do we think is staying in the same position?
I mean, if we're talking recency, I think pretty clearly the Yankees are falling and the Blue Jays are rising. The Blue Jays are, what are they, in their last X amount of games?
Well, they just snapped a 6-win winning streak. Or
6-game win streak.
6-game win streak.
Yeah, and it was a game they should have won.
Yeah. And they were facing Chicago, Southside Chicago, and also the Mariners, who are
They've gone from 12-8 to after this loss 18-10. So that's what 6-2,
yeah.
and it could easily be 7-1. Yeah. I mean the Blue Jays are, they're looking good.
Right.
Pretty good.
So it's May 1st right now. On June 1st, how differently do you think we're looking at this division?
Oh man, I mean, I gotta think there's 18 that's under 500,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What's the? I feel like I need to check every team's like divisional schedule, because the Blue Jays and Red Sox are playing this week, which means the Blue Jays will absolutely
Right.
sweep.
It is kind of unfair to ask that not knowing
The Blue
what
Jays
the
do have
schedules are.
the Blue Jays have a tough schedule this month. So they have the Red Sox for 4, which not tough for them.
Yeah.
Then they travel to Pittsburgh for the weekend. That's a good team. They play the Phillies for 2. Probably the worst team they're going to face in this span is the Phillies. Then they're home against the Braves. They're home against the Yankees for 4. They're home against the Orioles, and they go to Tampa. And then it continues. They go to Minnesota, also a good team, and they finish out the month home against Milwaukee. So that's a good schedule.
Yeah. That's good competition. Tampa Bay has Pittsburgh on the docket,
That's going to be a great series.
The Yankees, Orioles, Yankees, Mets, Brewers, and then Toronto, and then the Dodgers, Cubs, Red Sox. Okay, yeah, and then it's June. But
I'm going to pull up Baltimore.
So yeah, at the moment the Rays are 4.5 up on the Blue Jays. They're 8 up on the Red Sox and the Yankees. They are 3.5. Yeah, 3.5 up on the Orioles. Orioles are closest to that.
Yeah.
I would have to imagine the Orioles fall off a little bit from where they are now.
From 19-9, I would imagine. They do have a definitely easier schedule than Toronto, so they have 3 at Kansas City this week. That's definitely the easiest opponent they have. Then they go to Atlanta for 3. Good team. They are home against Tampa. Goes without saying. Pittsburgh. They play at home. That's a good team. Then they go to LA for 4. They have a 4-game West Coast trip. Or no, sorry, no, they're home against the Angels. I'm incorrect in my assessment. They are home against the Angels for 4, which is probably the second weakest opponent that they have. Then they go to Toronto. They go to New York. They are home against Texas, and they finish off the month home against Cleveland.
Okay. Yeah. So I think
the Yankees have a tough.
I think based on what I'm hearing and how teams should be doing, I feel like the Rays will keep the division lead for the next month.
Yeah.
I think the Orioles might fall below Toronto, but I think the Orioles will stay above the Yankees. Red Sox, I think, will probably be in around the same place they are now, probably around 500 toward the bottom of the division.
Do you have the Yankees, or do you want me to read off that one too?
I don't know. I feel like with all the names,
I'll just go with the highlights. They have 7 against Tampa. They have 4 at Toronto, but they also have 3 at home against Oakland. I mean, that's as free as it gets.
Yep.
They have Cleveland coming in this week. They go to Cincinnati. They're also home against the Padres. That'll be a fun one. And then they finish the month on the road in Seattle. And then they also enter June facing the Dodgers for 3.
I feel like each team has like their battle tests. And then also their
freebies.
Their freebies.
I'll also like kind of skim the Red Sox too, just so we acknowledged every team in the East and what they got going for them.
Right.
So the Red Sox have Toronto coming in this week, like I mentioned. That's a 4-game sweep. Then they go to Philly this weekend. They face the Braves for 2. They're home against the Cardinals. They're home against the Mariners. They are on the road against the Padres. When was the last time the Padres came to Fenway? Every time they face the Padres, they're in San Diego.
Yeah, I feel like it was 2013.
It was literally 2013.
With Johnny Gomes and the home
That's crazy.
runs.
That's hilarious. And they are in. So they have a West Coast trip. They face the Padres, Angels, and Diamondbacks on the road, and they're home against the Reds. So yeah, same thing. They have their good teams. They have their teams that they should beat. I think. I mean, you would assume that one team would fall below 500, especially with the amount of divisional play, because it does seem like every team has a decent amount of that this month.
Right. Yeah. It might be just realistically the Red Sox being that team.
Yeah.
It's just they have a pretty.
But I could also see, like, if the Yankees, first of all, I mean, if they lose, let's say, and this is obviously a very hypothetical, let's say the Yankees lose 4 to 5 out of 7 against Tampa, and then they also lose the series to Oakland. That's all in the next 2 weeks, and that could just completely, morale-wise, just drag them down.
Yeah, it's true.
Because, I mean, you look at Oakland on the schedule, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's a win, probably a sweep. You don't know.
You don't know.
Like, we're going to get a lot of this wrong, and it's like, oh, actually, the A's actually swept the Yankees at home, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Which I don't think will happen. But, that's kind of how the sport works sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they go face the Rays. And maybe they get swept by Oakland, and then they beat the Rays 6 out of 7.
Yeah.
It can be so random. But, yeah, those 2 weeks, I think these next 2 weeks will really determine a lot for the Yankees.
Yeah. There's a lot, sort of a decent amount on the line. We'll see where Judge is at health-wise because we know how big he is to that lineup. I mean, he's literally big.
That's why he's the most valuable player because when he's gone, his team is bad, but when he's there, his team is good. Unlike Shohei Ohtani, where if he's there, the team's bad, and if he's not there, the team's bad.
Yeah. Man, if only there was this like stat that gave that just placed like sort of like a bench guy.
Yeah. Like an IKF type.
Like a bench guy in the role of the player that you're evaluating, and saw like how many less wins would this team have if not for this guy we're talking about.
Yeah.
If only there was like this replacement player.
even like a couple different ways of evaluating that specific stat.
Yeah, if only there were just like, hey, this pitcher, he has got a good ERA, let's evaluate based on that. Oh, this pitcher, he has a really good FIP, let's evaluate based off of that.
Yeah, exactly.
If only there was like a way to just see how many,
including like ballpark adjustments, positional adjustments.
Right, like how many wins wins
it's like, yeah, okay, dude, you're hitting.
Table.
It's like, yeah, okay, dude, you're hitting well, but you're a first baseman.
Yeah.
Like, what's the shortstop doing?
Yeah.
Like something like that.
Yeah. Like, how many wins do you bring compared to like a bench guy, like a replacement level player?
Someone, please go invent that.
Yeah. Can we get someone on that? Bill
Can
James.
we make it easier by giving it an acronym that's like a real word?
Yeah. True. Yeah, that would be cool. Like raw.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's his raw at?
Yeah, his replacement assumed wins.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, personally. So yeah, you're listening to Above Replacement Radio. So yeah, that does it for AL East talk. That's a really good division. Probably the most fun to outlook, considering the level of talent on every team, and the fact that the worst team is probably, a 500 team, or should be at that point. But now we will move on to players to highlight for good and bad reasons. We will start with the good by talking about our. It is Monday, May 1st, 2023 edition of. Who do you have for us today?
So for my how about that, I am talking about Hunter Green Hunter Brown. I'm colorblind. I can't tell the difference. I'm taking a victory lap here, and I am talking about Hunter Brown of the Houston Astros. In 30 and a third innings pitched, he is a 2.37 ERA and a 2.54 FIP. His 1.1 F4 ranks tied for 12th in the majors. He is one of just 3 qualified starters that has yet to give up a home run. The other 2 are Garrett Cole and Sonny Gray, 2 people we've mentioned earlier in this pod. He is now throwing his slider 35.8% of the time after only throwing it 13.3% of the time in 2022. And it makes sense why he's doing that, because his slider has an average pitch velocity of 92 miles an hour, making it the fastest slider in the majors among the 229 qualifiers. He's actually 0.2 miles per hour above Jacob deGrom, who's known for having a very, high velocity slider, but Hunter Brown actually outdoes him. During his April 15th start against the Rangers this year, he threw 19 sliders that reached 93 miles per hour. That is the most that anyone in American League history has thrown in a single game. Don't look at where it would rank him in National League history, because Jacob deGrom alone he has like 15 of them. 13.3% of his batted balls have had a launch angle below negative 35 degrees. That is the second highest rate among the 148 pitchers with at least 50 batted balls allowed this season. The only one with more is Josh Fleming of the Rays. He is also the first pitcher since 1991 with no home runs allowed in their first 12 games, minimum 50 innings pitched in those 12 games, which is pretty cool. And lastly, since he debuted last year, 65.9% of his batted balls have been either ground balls or pop-ups. And that is the highest rate among the 142 pitchers with at least 100 batted balls allowed in that span. He is 0.1 against his teammate Framber Valdez, who famously has a 1,000,000% ground ball rate. So Hunter Brown, he is striking a lot of guys out. He's not walking people. He's yet to give up a home run in his career. He has a very ideal batted ball profile, and that slider not only do it be sliding, but it be moving.
Yeah. Hunter Brown.
How about that?
Very well done. Very well done. I learned a lot about Hunter Brown in that segment.
Indeed.
My how about that? We could have done this, like 3 weeks ago, but he keeps on rolling, and I was thinking about doing a different guy, but because like we've already done this team, but the other guy also is a guy from a team we've done before. But I just want to acknowledge him because also he was sort of a meme with us, talking about James Outman of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who just he's that new guy who just came out of nowhere and is just raking for the Dodgers. He's 26 years old. He's in his rookie year right now, and he's been absolutely killing it pretty much all year. James Outman, in 109 plate appearances this year, he is hitting .292 with a .991 OPS and a .161 OPS plus. Over the whole season, he ranks 6th in slugging, 6th in OPS, and 5th in FWAR. And that has a lot to do with, him being 5th in FWAR also has a lot to do with his very good defense, which ranks very high as well, along with his spectacular offense. He is in the 93rd percentile in barrel rate, 71st percentile in chase rate, and also in the 92nd percentile in outs above average. As I mentioned, very, very good defense. James Outman also has a 41.7% sweet spot rate, which is 27th highest out of 215 hitters with 50-plus batted balls this year. And when James Outman makes contact, he slugs .983, which ranks 4th out of 215 batters. What the specific pitch that Outman has been absolutely murdering is the changeup. He has seen 57 changeups and is hitting .462 with a .1231 slugging against them. Out of 60 hitters to see 50-plus changeups this year, James Outman's slugging is the highest by 164 points, is above third highest by 302 points, and is above fourth highest by 453 points. So it goes like 1231, I think 1067, then 929, then 778. Like that's the list out of 60.
Yeah.
And James Outman is far and above the rest of the competition when it comes to hitting changeups. He's been absolutely unbelievable against all pitches, but especially the changeup. And yeah, that's why he's been the fifth best position player in baseball according to Fangraphs.
According to Raw.
According to Raw. So yeah, James Outman, a long time coming, getting a.
How about that?
We were just waiting for the right sample.
Yeah, and we did a Dodger first episode, so we wanted to get some more teams off the list.
Miguel Vargas has like a 422 OPS since I highlighted him.
The first ones are always the best ones.
Yeah, dude, Kyle Isbell.
Yeah.
Julian Merriweather.
Yeah, I forget.
Eduardo Escobar for me.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
I mean, Jeffrey Springs already.
Yeah, true, unfortunately.
Yeah.
My first. How about that? This year was Adam Duvall, so yeah, sort of under the same line.
You also have because I always do. Well, you had Jose Barrios for one of yours, I think.
That's like the only one I'm remembering right now.
2022.
2022. Yeah, I did not.
The guy that Chris has beef with.
Yeah, no, the guy really screwed me up mentally and physically. All right, so now we go from the highs to the lows, where we're talking players or subjects that have been underperforming for our Monday, May 1st, 2023 edition of.
Slightly alarming.
Who do you have for us today?
So I guess you could say that I'm, kind of hitting a guy while he's down. This guy went viral over the weekend for not hustling out an infield ground ball. But Luis Robert has actually been struggling in more than just that play. Since April 10th, he is slashing 119, 192, 209 for a 401 OPS and an 11 weighted runs created plus. That OBP, OPS, and weighted runs created plus are the worst among qualifiers in that span. Additionally, in this span, he has an average exit velocity of 82.2 miles per hour. That is the 16th lowest among the 286 hitters with at least 25 batted balls in this span. Before this span, he had a sweet spot rate of 53.3%. Over a larger sample, that would lead the league. In this span, it is 26.7%. Over a larger sample, that would be the last in the league. Even when he hits it in the sweet spot, though, he has an average exit velocity of 84.4 miles per hour, and that is the sixth lowest on the sweet spot on that same list of 286. So he's not hitting the ball well, but even when he does, he's not hitting the ball well. There's just no other way of putting it. His ground ball rate before this span was 23.3%, and I actually mentioned a couple episodes ago, Luis Robert was kind of the one guy on the White Sox that wasn't hitting more ground balls. The problem, of course, is that he's actually hitting the ball less hard, so it doesn't even really matter. But in this span, he has a 51.1% ground ball rate, which is above the league average. And also, he's never been good with walk to strikeout ratio, but during this span, he has a called strike and whiff percent of 33.5%. That means over a third of the pitches thrown to him have been called strikes or swings and misses. That is tied for the 9th highest rate among 183 qualifiers. Luis Robert, there's no other way to put it. He is not hitting the ball well. He's not hitting the ball hard, and we know how much power he has, but he is not displaying it at all.
Yeah, Luis Robert.
Slightly alarming.
I'm glad. I was thinking about doing him, didn't do him, so I'm glad you highlighted him because he's been literally the worst hitter in baseball.
Yes.
He did get highlighted for other reasons.
Mm-hmm. Allegedly, he had a hamstring problem, which was why he was playing more conservative. Still, I mean, that ground ball was a tough look.
I think that's what you say to the media.
Yeah, you don't say, no, I just didn't feel like running it out.
Right, yeah. Same exact thing happened with Gary Sanchez, although he did end up, I think, going on the IL.
Yeah.
But also, who knows?
I mean, maybe he is playing with a bad hamstring, but still.
Right.
I mean, that's with the state that your team is currently in, you got to run that out.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if he didn't know that.
Especially as a guy that's still pre-arb.
Right, yeah.
To be fair, I don't really know any context where it's okay to do that.
Well, I think.
Because you can't be like, oh, Manny Machado didn't hustle out a ground ball. Well, you know what? He's Manny Machado.
I think he already has an extension under his
He does.
belt.
He got one before he played.
Yeah,
he did. You're right.
That's
on me. I forgot.
It was a long time ago.
He
and it
got extended before
he.
he played a single game.
Yeah, him and Eloy.
I mean, like I said, there's no context in which that's acceptable by any contract standards. But
yeah. But, that can...
You're still kind of a guy that has to prove yourself.
Yeah, that narrative can be changed. I think we've seen that with Cody Bellinger. Like, I remember in 2018, he was benched for not hustling. And
yep. And then
ended up being...
didn't he, win the Heart and Hustle Award that year, too?
I don't remember.
For his team?
I don't remember.
There was definitely somebody at some point that were like... Because they decide the Heart and Hustle Awards for each team in, July.
Yeah.
And, a guy won it, and then, 2 weeks later got benched for not hustling out a ground ball.
Well, I know, the day after Gary Sanchez had that, ran down the line slow and hit into a double play, or, jogged it out. The day after, Austin Romine, his, backup catcher, got the Heart and Hustle Award.
Yeah.
But that's what I remember.
I do remember that play. It was it was the double play where, the Orioles or whoever was, bobbled it.
The Rays.
Yeah.
At Tropicana.
Yeah, I also remember the Gary Sanchez, the play against the Mets, where he kind of lazily tagged the runner and he ended up being safe.
Mm-hmm.
When the throw beat him by a mile. The throw beat him by a mile. It's from the Pirates Braves play.
Shout out to Foolish Baseball.
Yeah.
My slightly alarming, kind of going with the theme of the episode, goes into the Bronx. And maybe it's unfair to put a slightly alarming on this guy because he didn't necessarily
have expectations.
Have a super high, a super large resume heading into this year. However, he caught a lot of attention late last year, and I'm talking about Oswaldo Cabrera. After having a 984 OPS in his final 22 games last year and capturing the hearts of those in the Bronx.
And the hustles.
He is currently hitting 200 with a 516 OPS. Not great for a guy who they're giving regular starting playing time and who they expected to have a larger role in their outfield. Out of 181 qualifiers this season, Oswaldo Cabrera's on-base percentage is second worst, slugging is seventh worst, OPS is fourth worst, and his expected WOBA is in the third percentile in all of baseball. And what's weird about Oswaldo Cabrera is he's actually hitting the ball 2.5 miles per hour harder on average than he was last year, and he is striking out 4.8 percentage points less. His problem is, if you didn't do the math yourself, is he's hitting the ball at worse angles, hitting more ground balls, hitting more high fly balls, less line drives. And in fact, his sweet spot rate has gone from 41.1% to 41.1% last year to 25.0% this year. Out of 215 hitters with 50-plus batted balls this year, his sweet spot rate is 15th lowest. His ground ball rate has gone from 30.4% to 51.5%, an over 20% increase in ground ball rate. His line drive rate has also gone from 25.0% to 11.8%. Out of 215 hitters, Oswaldo Cabrera's line drive rate is third lowest. So he's definitely not hitting the ball at the right angles, and it's causing him to not get a lot of hits and not get really any power. He only has one home run right now and only a 200 average, leading to a 516 OPS at the moment, which is fourth worst in all of baseball at the moment. So Oswaldo Cabrera, after finishing last year hot, so far this year,
Slightly alarming.
so yeah, that does it for players to highlight. We can briefly do a little preview of the week ahead, maybe just some highlights of different series to watch and day by day.
You could just do that and then head out, and I'll finish up. Oh wait, no, you're gonna need your laptop, aren't you?
I think I'll need my laptop.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate. But I can show up to this meeting a little late. You know, it's my last one. But what are they going to do? Kick me out? But for series to watch, we have a playoff rematch between the Yankees and Guardians. Guardians have been underperforming. Yankees have also been underperforming. So we'll see who comes out on top in that one. And then Dodgers, Phillies. Phillies are doing a little bit better as of late, so that's cool. And that will be happening over at the Chavez Ravine. Not too many great series. The other series you could look out for is Rangers Diamondbacks, who are two teams that you could
are fun.
Two fun teams that are doing a little bit better than maybe slightly better than expectations so far this year. What do you got for some day-by-day matchups?
Yeah, I'll try to breeze through these quickly. So on Monday, Spencer Strider will be going in the first end of the doubleheader for the Braves against the Mets. The Mets famously need a retractable roof, according to John Heyman.
Yeah.
Cubs Nationals, Drew Smyly versus Mackenzie Gore, a couple lefties that have been doing very well this year. Cal Quantrill versus Domingo Germán in Yankees Guardians in the Bronx. Jose Barrios versus Corey Kluber at Fenway in Red Sox Blue Jays. Ross Stripling versus Luis Garcia in Giants Astros in Houston. Blake Snell, you already know what his line's going to look like tonight against the Reds in San Diego. Get ready for that 4 2/3 inning pitched. 1 earned run, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts, 110 pitches thrown. And then Phillies, Dodgers, you got Taijuan Walker versus Tony Gonsolin. Matchup of the night comes from the second end of the Mets-Braves doubleheader. It's going to be Charlie Morton versus Tyler McGill. And then on Tuesday, not a lot's announced on Tuesday, but Sandy Alcantara is going for the Marlins against the Braves. Hayden Wesneski is facing the Nationals for the Cubs in Washington. Tanner Beebe, who made his Major League debut and looked good in his first outing for the Guardians, will be going off against Garrett Cole. That'll be a fun one. Joe Ryan and Michael Kopech will be facing each other in Twins. White Sox, Patrick Sandoval and Steven Matz will face each other in Angels Cardinals, couple of lefties, the Albert Pujols Revenge Series too. Anthony Descalfani and how about that Hunter Brown will face each other in Giants Astros. Freddie Peralta and Ryan Feldner will face each other in Brewers Rockies at Coors. Graham Ashcraft and Michael Wacha in Reds Padres in San Diego. Logan Gilbert and Mason Miller will face each other in Mariners A's. That's a fun matchup. And matchup of the night comes from Diamondbacks Rangers. It's going to be Zach Gallen versus John Gray.
That's for Zach Gallen alone, you should be watching that.
Yeah, absolutely. On a Wednesday, Diamondbacks, Rangers. That'll be Andrew Heaney facing the Diamondbacks. You will have Luis Sessa and Seth Lugo, two former relievers in New York, going against each other in Reds Padres. That's pretty cool. Aaron Nola will be facing the Dodgers for the Phillies. Shane McClanahan will be facing the Pirates for the Rays. That's a series to watch. You will have Marcus Stroman going for the Cubs against the Nationals. Shane Bieber going for the Guardians against the Yankees. You will have Dylan Cease going for the White Sox against the Twins. Kyle Gibson and Zach Greinke in the Who Can Be More 39 series, even though Kyle Gibson's 35.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani.
That's just permanent age.
Shohei Ohtani and Miles Michaelis will be facing each other in Angels Cardinals. George Kirby will be facing the A's for the Mariners. And matchup of the day comes from Giants Astros. It's Logan Webb versus Framber Valdez. It's a good one.
I mean, if you're
oh
in
my
the
God,
stands,
yeah.
I mean, if you're in the stands,
I forgot about that.
Sorry, you're not getting a souvenir.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Hey,
Dude, that's like the Ohtani Trout of like ground ball guys. What an awesome matchup.
If you are the grass, I mean, you're having a rough day.
Yeah, honestly, that's matchup of the week.
Yeah.
I'm not even. I don't even know if I want to go through Thursday now. Matchup of the day, I guess, is Max Fried versus Jesus Luzardo and Braves Marlins. Yeah, I gotta end it on Logan Webb versus Framber Valdez. That is incredible.
Yeah. For context, they are both like 60% or above ground ball rate guys.
And they're also like they get the most innings out of guys like that.
Yes.
by far.
Yes. So
Yeah.
expect like 25 ground balls.
Oh,
between
that's
the
so
Astros
awesome.
And Giants.
That's so awesome that they're facing each other. I'm gonna watch that game. I'm not gonna have anything to do on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, no, me neither.
Honestly, I think we need to put that one on in the living room downstairs.
Yeah.
Like that's. Oh wait, no, you're gonna be somewhere Wednesday afternoon, aren't you?
We're planning on wrapping up a little bit earlier because it's reading day. But
okay.
We'll sort
Well,
that
but
out.
you have paper, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But we're trying
Yeah.
to sort that out.
No, we need to make an
earlier.
event out of that one.
Yes. We. Yeah. I'm gonna.
It's an interleague matchup. How often are you gonna get this again?
It's gonna be like the Minions TikToks where
Yeah.
people show up in suits. I'm gonna try to. Yeah. I'll dress up nice for that one.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll wear a suit for Logan Webb versus Framber Valdez. Oh, that's awesome.
All right. So.
Yeah, watch that game, please.
We hope you enjoyed this one. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, want to view the digital content, you know where to go. It's the YouTube channel. It's called Above Replacement Radio. And if you're listening on YouTube and want to watch and you want to listen to the podcast, only audio, be able to go on your phone, look at your Instagram feed while you're listening to ARR. Go to the Apple Podcasts and Spotify and listen to those streams. They are called Above Replacement Radio. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran. And follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time where we will be talking all the happenings in Major League Baseball. Once again, see you then.
This conversation is over.